If you live somewhere other than your home country and you've ever watched a video about expat life, even one of mine, and you've thought to yourself, yeah, that's not really me, this video is for you. I want to talk about something that's been bugging me for a little while. Most of the content out there about expat life, including a lot of mine, if I'm honest, tends to focus on a specific type of expat, the one who moves a lot. We used to call it the trailing spouse, even though a lot of people have an issue with that term. But it's the woman who follows her partner around the world as he builds his career. So she packs up every 2 or 3 years and moves somewhere completely new, usually with a relocation package and a ready-made community of women in exactly the same situation when she arrives. And the challenges that come with that are very real. It was my experience for about 2/3 of my expat life, which is why my content leans towards that style of being an expat. But it's not the only way to experience expat life, not even close. I moved for 10 years over 5 different countries before I ever met my husband. And I even have a few years living on a US military base, which is a story for another day. But there's a type of expat that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and she might be watching this right now thinking, is any of this actually for me? And it is. So let's start with the definition. An expat is simply someone who lives somewhere that they're not from. That's it. There's no package or international schools required, no compound, no company behind you. If you left your home country and built a life somewhere else, you are an expat. And everything that comes with that, emotionally, personally, as a mother, is very real too. I'm Angela, by the way. I was an expat for 30 years across 11 different countries. I raised 2 boys overseas, repatriated, went through an expat divorce and a cancer diagnosis, and I'm here to talk honestly about it all. So let me start by sharing my terms with you, just so we're on the same page. The first is what I call the moving expat. That's the one that most people think about when we say expat spouse. She moves a lot, usually for work, mostly her partners. She's very familiar with the cycle of moving, the excitement and the grief and the leaving and the arriving and the settling and then the leaving all over again. She knows the process inside and out, including just how exhausting and emotionally draining it can be, even though there are many benefits. And one of the things that she has, even if she hasn't met her people yet on the other side, is an instant community. Wherever you land, there are other moving expats, women and mothers in the same situation. And there's an unspoken understanding between them that doesn't even need to be said out loud. You just get it. I got you. We're in this together. That's why we can make random connections with strangers in a supermarket on a Wednesday afternoon and end up having lunch together by Friday and joining our families at the poolside the following weekend. Because we often stand out like a sore thumb and we find each other because we belong with others who don't belong. The second kind of expat is what I like to call the stable expat. And this is the one I want to talk about today. The stable expat moves once, often for love. Maybe she met someone and she fell in love and at some point made the decision to leave her home country and build their life together in his. Maybe they met at university in his or her country, or maybe they met someone neutral for a while and then eventually decided to move back to his hometown. However it happened, she moved once and stayed. From the outside, the stable expat can look like she has it so much easier. She's settled, right? She has roots. She's not packing boxes every few years. She has a home and a community and a life that has time to grow. By the way, the stable expat may look at the moving expat and think she has it so much easier because she has all these systems and benefits from the company and this instant community that we have access to. But emotionally, The stable expat can be one of the most isolated expats of all because she arrived in her partner's world and she has to fit in with his family and his friends and his culture and his language. And while all of that may have been romantic and exciting in the beginning, genuinely, she's often the only person she knows who truly understands what it feels like to be from somewhere else. The moving expat, even on her hardest days, once she's settled, she knows she has someone nearby who gets it. And she can pick up that phone without even explaining what she's feeling and feel seen. But the stable expat often doesn't even have that. She might not even be able to identify what she's feeling because the people around her or even the people back home have never felt it. No one gets it and no one is talking about it. But the stable expat often doesn't even have that. She might not even be able to identify what she's feeling because the people around her or the people back home have never felt it. So no one gets it and no one is talking about it. She might not even think the word expat applies to her. She might watch videos like mine and think that that's for someone else, or that's for the women who have the relocation packages. That's not my story at all. But it is her story. It is completely her story from an emotional perspective. And then when she starts having children, everything gets even more complicated. Because when you're an expat and you start a multicultural family, you are suddenly navigating two cultures inside your own home. Two sets of traditions that impact almost every aspect of family life. There's two different versions of what family should look like and the roles that parents play. There's two completely different ideas about raising children and education and discipline. And then there are the holidays and the celebrations. Do you celebrate his or hers or both? And will the extended family join in with both? Maybe you're celebrating Christmas or Eid or Chinese New Year all alone. And what about including your parents and family when they're so far away? At first, you handle it with love and curiosity and genuine respect of each other's backgrounds. But it's exhausting and it's ongoing. You don't reach a point where you've suddenly figured it all out and it falls into place. You keep negotiating because you keep finding new challenges and you keep trying to make sure that your children feel connected to both sides of who they are, because you have your culture and your husband has his, and the children, well, they have both. And in the end, you sit there wondering if you're the only one feeling exhausted by it all. And here's the thing. Your children are growing up in their father's country. They go to school, they have friends and family there, and in many ways, that country is already home to them in a way that it may never fully be to you. And that is a very particular kind of loneliness that nobody talks about. So I want to say this to both mums, the moving expat and the stable expat. The emotional weight of living somewhere you're not from is real. It doesn't matter how you got there. It doesn't matter whether you've moved 15 times or whether you have your partner's family down the road. The feeling of being somewhere other than where you're from or where you feel like you belong and of raising children between those cultures is not easy. And you may also be carrying a version of home inside you that you're not even sure exists anymore. And nobody around you gets it. Maybe not even your husband, who just went back to his old life with a wife and got on with it. But I think it deserves to be named. I think we need a name for it. And I'm calling it cultural discombobulation. And yes, I made that up. And I made it up because I think you deserve to be seen. And that's why I built Raising Change Globally, not just for the moving expat, but for all of us. For every mom who is living a life and raising children somewhere other than where they started and feeling the emotional weight and complexity of all that, whether she has words for it yet or not. So if that's you, please come find us on the school platform. It's genuinely one of the warmest corners of the internet, even if I do say so myself. We have such an incredible community of women already. And there's a growing library of tools created by someone who actually gets it for you to dip into whenever you fancy. The link is in the description. And if this video resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because I bet you know at least one stable expat who has never once thought that the word expat applied to her. Thanks for being here wherever you are in the world. I will see you next time.